6 people, one family, one apartment. By the time police forced their way inside, it was already too late. A 64-year-old grandmother, her adult daughter, and 4 young children, all found dead inside the same home. There were no signs of forced entry, no evidence of a struggle, no indication that someone from outside had broken in. At first, investigators had no clear suspect, but everything changed when they began searching the apartment. Soon after, police made a statement that shocked the public. They believed the deaths were not random, and the evidence pointed towards someone already inside the home. A grandmother, but nothing was confirmed yet, and the truth behind what happened inside that apartment was still buried in unanswered questions. Police arrived after neighbors reported something unusual. The family had gone silent. No movement, no voices, no sign of life for days. When officers entered the apartment, the first thing they noticed was the stillness. It felt wrong, too quiet for a home that should have been filled with children. Room by room, the scene became clearer. Each victim was found inside the residence. No evidence suggested anyone had entered or left during the critical time frame. Detectives began documenting everything: medication bottles, scattered pills, and personal belongings that suggested a sudden and unexplained collapse of normal life. But what stood out most was the handwritten note recovered from inside the apartment. Authorities did not immediately release its contents, but confirmed it played a key role in shaping the direction of the investigation. At that point, police said they were not looking for an outside suspect. They were looking inward, inside the family itself. As the investigation developed, authorities began forming a disturbing theory. Evidence collected from the apartment suggested that the deaths were not the result of an external attack. There were no signs of forced entry, no surveillance footage indicating a stranger, and no witnesses reporting suspicious activity. Instead, everything pointed back to one person who was already inside the home. The grandmother. Investigators said prescription medications and over-the-counter drugs found at the scene raised serious questions about possible poisoning. However, police emphasized that nothing had been confirmed. Toxicology reports were still pending, and the exact cause of death for each individual had not yet been officially determined. One detail made the case even more complex. One of the children appeared to have injuries inconsistent with the suspected cause of death, suggesting that multiple factors may have been involved. Authorities stressed that the investigation was ongoing, and they were carefully reconstructing the timeline of the final hours inside the apartment. Behind the headlines, there was a family history that investigators were carefully reviewing. The children were reportedly living in a complicated custody situation with arrangements involving multiple states and relatives. At the time of the incident, plans were reportedly in place for changes in custody in the near future. The father, living out of state, was notified after the discovery. According to reports, he had been expecting to reunite with his children soon, a reunion that would never happen. Investigators are also reviewing communications, medical history, and personal records to understand whether emotional distress, mental health issues, or external pressures may have played a role in what happened inside the apartment. However, police have not confirmed any motive. At this stage, the focus remains strictly on forensic evidence and toxicology results. The truth, they say, will come from science, not speculation. Even with multiple pieces of evidence, the case remains open. The handwritten note recovered from the apartment has not been publicly released in full. Its contents may hold critical insight into the mindset behind the tragedy, but authorities are being cautious about disclosure. Toxicology reports are still pending, meaning the official cause of death for each victim has not yet been finalized. Detectives continue to reconstruct the timeline minute by minute, trying to understand how 6 lives ended inside a locked home with no external signs of intrusion. One of the biggest unanswered questions remains the role of the grandmother. While investigators have indicated she is a central figure in the case, no final conclusion has been made. For now, the case sits in a painful space between suspicion and certainty, and the truth, whatever it turns out to be, is still waiting to be fully uncovered.